You ready? Kilmer told me a little bit about your story, but fits right up our alley here for the Y&K podcast. Obviously, I think it's an exceptional example of you never know being something of like kind of always. We've been talking about looking at the bright side a lot, just organically in this episode. So it's only fitting that we hear your story. So just walk us through what went on.
So basically, it's, sprint car racing has been my whole life. I mean, that's why I moved out to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
I got hired by a team out here. But about when I was 18, 19 years old, so a couple years in sprint cars, it was the summer of 2016. I went to a place in Chillicothe, Ohio, Atomic Speedway, and so it was just a normal night, and in one of the races, I got up on the flat. There's no walls in 1 and 2. It's dirt racing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was sandy up there. The track wasn't worked up, up there,
Mm-hmm.
wet or anything like that. And, they had concrete barriers on the outskirts of the track and completely took those out. And it blocked you from going down this huge hill and just went all the way down it. And just, when people got to me, I wasn't conscious or anything like that and wasn't responsive. And at that point, they were scared of, a severe concussion and, anything else because I wasn't, all there. So I got life flighted from a helicopter to Ohio Health, Ohio Major Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And, they gave did all the scans on my head and, my body and stuff like that. And, I honestly, it took about 12, maybe to 18 hours before I stopped repeating myself and just, I was out of it. Like, I probably asked my dad about 10 times, like, what happened? Like, where am I? And stuff like that.
Right.
So, it's pretty crazy to look back at stuff like that. And, you're just you're out of it. But, that's the life of a race car driver. But, they did the scans and I was in the hospital for a couple days. And, I went home and about, 2 weeks later, I was just, getting back going again. And my mom called me into the living room and she started reading this letter off from the hospital and, talked about my stay at the hospital and what they did to me. And then they talked about on blah, blah, blah scan, they found a mass on my right kidney. They believed it was renal cell carcinoma, and which it ended up being renal cell carcinoma, a type of kidney cancer.
Wow.
And so at that point, my mom's in tears and I'm just, 18-year-old kid, it's rare to get cancer at that, kind of age. I mean,
crazy.
I haven't done anything crazy to, put myself into that situation.
Yeah.
And, immediately I wanted to know how I can get better and what we got to do. And so, seen it, one of the best specialists in the United States for this type of cancer. And Dr. Sprunger, he set up a surgery for me in October. Luckily, we only had to do surgery because, I didn't have any symptoms, so it didn't spread anywhere else.
Right.
So usually when you do get symptoms, it spreads to different parts of your body, and then usually it's too late.
Wow.
And so I was, lucky to be a race car driver at that point.
Crazy.
And so had the surgery, and I'm already a pretty small-built guy. Most race car drivers are.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually lost 20 pounds. I felt like shit. And, a couple months went by, and about January, after that winter, is when I started feeling better again. And at that point, I wanted to, start going to the gym again and getting, back to normal.
Right.
And even better than that, I had motivation to get back in the race car because, my last race was a big wreck. And, at that point, I want to be better than what I was then, and not, come out the gate weak. I want to come out the gate strong. And I also felt like it was a blessing, from Lord up above that I had that accident because, this cancer is a slow-growing tumor. There's 3 different types. I had the 1% of renal cell carcinomas, and then also this cancer is found in 60-year-olds. So I'm the 1% of the 1% who ends up driving a sprint car for a living. So
crazy.
It's crazy how it came full circle
Yeah, that's
and
wild,
defining
man.
something like that.
Do you did you have these thoughts kind of right away? Like, did it take a while? Did you have to be removed from it a bit to look back and be like, wow, how incredibly lucky, but also just like that level of man, that there is no such thing as a coincidence, I don't feel, and it's just like it's such an eye-opening experience for it to go down like that. Were you kind of thinking that right out of the gate, or did it take a little time?
It honestly took a while because I think, after my surgery, that's when I kind of was getting sick. So, and then you also got winter, so you got nothing to do. Mm-hmm. I had no racing to go to. Mm-hmm. So, that November, that December, I'm just kind of like, days are flying by and I just feel numb almost. Mm-hmm. And it's like when, the weather started getting better, and then I just finally hit a point in my life where, I think you just finally get, I think I had a concussion for a long time too. Yeah. So my head wasn't on right, and just a lot of different things, that surgery being one of the toughest surgeries on your body as well. And I think, going to the gym was kind of started that spark, and then going to church on Sundays. And then honestly, the thing that actually changed even more so my mindset was I decided to go to the gym on a Saturday, because usually I would go, Monday through Friday. Well, just out of the blue, I decided to go on a Saturday. I go to LA Fitness, and my pastor ended up being in the locker room there. So I said, "Hey, Gary," and he's like, "Oh, hey." He's like, "You go to the creek or something?" I was like, "Yeah, I go to your church." He's like, "Okay." He's like, "You an athlete or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, I drive race cars." He's like, "Okay, that's cool." He's like, "So have you ever had any bad wrecks?" And I was like, "I got a story for you, dude." And I told him about what happened and how it kind of changed my life, and how I kind of, I've always believed in God and stuff, but, it's just, that's my testimony now. Right. And so he's like, "Well, I have a group that meets on Thursdays for young adults. I think you should start going and tell your story and stuff." Mm-hmm. So I started going and, meeting people, and, I raced, that whole year, and, one of my best seasons in a car. And even, after that whole summer, the group talked about a organization that works close with the church called Rafa International. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they help girls who have been through sex trafficking and put them in better situations. So I went for that spring. So 1 year later, after meeting my pastor at the gym, because of having a wreck and finding out I had cancer, I went halfway across the world to see those girls and see what the organization does for their lives. And it was such one of the most impactful things in my life. And then when I came back, that was the one thing they wanted us to do, was you need to, tell everybody what you saw and what you witnessed, and then spread the word. And I thought, well, racing is the perfect example of, being able to, spread it. And so a month later, I won the biggest sprint car race in my life. I won an All-Star Circuit of Champions race. So Tony Stewart owns that series, and I won, and, I gave the whole spiel, sponsors, and, how the race went. And then at the end, I got to talk about Rafa International, and, and it was at that point is when everyone started hearing my story. And then I still get messages today because people hear my story on different podcasts and videos. And,
I'm sure you'll have a ton after this. It's really incredible. Yeah. It's just a perfect example of this shit that we try to highlight on the show, because look, everyone has their own path, but it's really incredible when you can be in the moment and start realizing that everything's happening for you, and for you, there's a lot of shit that you could complain about, why did I get this rare cancer, or why did I get in a wreck? But, it's weird. We were just talking about this earlier in this episode, but just consciously being able to find the bright side and actually let that bright side of it take you a whole new place, a whole new height. And now you're probably, can you remember, before and after of the wreck, what your mind state before and your mind state now, are you loving where you are mindset wise comparatively to who you were before the wreck?
I think overall, yeah, but I think everyone, and I think everyone deals with this. You go through certain times where you doubt yourself, or you go through hard times, or you face new struggles. It might not be as hard as what you once witnessed, but at the same time, I think because of that overall hardship, I think I still always look at the bright side of things.
Yeah.
Always have that you never know.
Right.
Keep going mindset, and even when the times get tough, you just stay in the trenches and keep going.
Look at you, just nailed all the Mike Stud branding in one sentence. Yeah, bro. The trenches, that's where we were just talking about that too. The trenches, like, it's about everyone's in the trenches at some point. It's just about you gotta somehow find a way to make to enjoy the setting. You know what I mean? Because there can and always will be opportunity and beneath the hard times. You ready?